Will the rip your face off rally continue, or is Darth Vader coming back? What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard. It's Bubba's Bottom Line, and of course, this is our weekly adventure into what happened in the past week and what we're looking forward to this week. And again, I asked the question, is it going to be the rip your face off continuing as it has for 6 days in a row? Or will Darth Vader show back up into the world of finance? And it's hard to say from here. Obviously, Monday's a holiday, and then we get back into the markets. And of course, since a week ago Friday, about noon or 1 o'clock, the markets have gone straight up. Now, it was interesting last week. Each and every day, we had a big sell-off at some point during the day. Tuesday, when the CPI number came out, we went down about 500 and then rallied back 600. So every day, there was a little bit of activity. Every day, something was going on in the markets that created that sell-off. And it's obvious that the markets still want to go lower. But for now, they're continuing to go up again. And as we've talked about many times in the past, this type of pattern is exactly what we were looking for. Now, I think the top is in. All right. Now, that doesn't mean we're going straight down. But what we were looking for was the big push down, which we got. And then the subsequent rally, which is stopped. Now, if it stops here, that would be the perfect location for the market to stop going higher and for it indeed to prove that the top of the market is in. Now, we'll see how it trades out the next couple of days, but there's a lot of reasons to believe that the top is in. And of course, everybody is so, bullish, and we got so much debt and everything's going great. Well, what the heck? I mean, just keep buying them. Buy them until you go broke is the way it looks like. But last week was extremely interesting. Of course, the week culminated with a little bit of sell-off on the FBI probe and the crappy job that they've done. And of course, not to mention and the sadness that we suffered in Parkland at the school where there was the shooting. And of course, our thoughts and prayers go out to all of those people, their families, and everybody involved. I mean, it really is a tragedy for everybody. And of course, what we find out is that the FBI had some information on this guy and didn't follow up on this as well. So it really goes to show you we're kind of slipping and things are not as good as they appear. But if we go back and look at the week, it had a big bounce in the markets, all right, up all 5 days and 6 days in a row in total. Not a surprise. Yet oil rallied back. Not a surprise, okay, because it did not come back to the highs. It just came back and bought back a little bit. Bitcoin rallied back, and gold rallied back after some heavy selling. Those are no surprises. The surprise will be is that they continue to rally and the markets continue to rally. That would be a surprise from this point. The markets look like they're ready to go down. They look like they're ready to turn down. And I would expect that. I would look to be a seller in these areas, okay? I think that, you've got a lot of crazy calls being made out there right now, and Citigroup among the goofiest calls being made, and one of them is that they're going to see $100 oil. I would say that the odds of $100 oil in my lifetime is remote, considering that there's such an oversupply. But their overall calls are always directed to lead you astray and lead you in another direction. This is what is known in the world is called spoofing. Okay? Now, we can talk all we want about what we really believe, but any moron that would make a $100 call when we're at 58 or 60 should go see a doctor, because at the end of the day, can we go to 100? We absolutely can go to 100. But to make that call today is moronic. All right. Again, let's say maybe we can get to 66 and take out the recent high. Maybe we can get to 70. And maybe we'll go to 100, but to sit there and make a call for 100 today is just, again, totally absurd. But of course, that is the way that you create and generate this excitement from all of these prognosticators that are trying to get you to do something. All right. Again, these are pre-planned barrages on the average investor to get them to get involved. All right. So if oil's sitting at 60, the city says it's going to 100. Well, I better get in. Of course, I think, in my opinion, they're looking to sell it. So anytime you see these big calls are usually designed to see the average guy step in and sell or buy the market depending on the call. All right. So again, I say to you that take that everything with a grain of salt. Remember, those guys, those gals, those operations, they don't always have your best interest in heart. All right. Again, this is the same people that were telling you to buy them up back in 08 when the market was collapsing. These are the same people, if you remember the movie The Big Short, they were saying, buy Bear Stearns, it's going up, going up. The same guy who is on one of those networks that has that crazy show that tells you that buy, 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 buy. Okay, again, those are things that, you know, again, remember, there's a reason that everything happens, and there's a reason that things get said, and there's a reason that we get pushed in certain directions, okay? This is like if you look at the markets and then life as a big screenplay, those are the directors trying to direct you into directions. And because they supposedly have credibility, it actually works for what they do, okay? But I think there's a lot of things to look at here that just don't look really good. And one would be the retail apocalypse. All right, you know, we had, everybody got excited over the Christmas season. Everybody got excited over, you know, the good sales. And of course, the margins were pretty brutal, what they were working on, number one. Number two, it was maybe the final push. But number three, what really has changed? I mean, here's a grocery chain, Winn-Dixie, filing for bankruptcy, okay, closing 200 stores. Is that what we call a retail recovery? You know, again, I think what you're going to end up seeing is you'll see Walmart and Amazon and a couple of hangers-on, but I think that that's going to be pretty bad. But I would look at this as a very, very tough time in the retail world and with the retail business, because who wants to go to a store? What do I have to go to a store for? I can do everything through Amazon or through a number of other online retailers, and I don't have to leave my house. Okay, now if I want to go out for a day and shop, I could do that. But again, I can go there, window shop, not have to carry the packages home. So brick and mortar retail looks to be on the way out. Some will look at this as a new start, and there may be some new specialty stores. This may be better for the independent small guy, all right? But as far as big time malls, I think they'll all be turned into health clubs and swimming pools. I don't see them surviving much longer, okay? I think that, you know, we've got so many issues, and another big issue that I would look at would be, we'll call this loan shark nation, okay? You know, we've got all of this money that's owed. We've got the biggest debt of all time. So again, and I'm not talking about the government deficit, because that just goes up every day. The government deficit is another story for another day, and it could probably take 5 years of a show to explain how ignorant that is, how they don't have to live the same way that we have to live, okay? What happened to having to live within a budget, okay? And this is one of the things which we'll get into later, but this is something that makes no sense. But Loan Shark Nation is, you've got people that owe so much money on credit cards. You get so many people invested so heavily into the equity markets that are on margin debt. So you've got people that can't afford something, that are buying something they can't afford with money they don't have. Now that never ends well at the end of the day, okay? These are Ponzi scheme type setups that you continue to borrow up and leverage up and leverage up until you finally go broke. Now, we can look at it any number of ways that you want, but the simple fact is that the money owed cannot be paid back. All right, you've now got new predatory lenders out there. You know, you've seen, you know, originally credit card debt. You know, you can never get out of credit card debt with the amount of interest you're charging, and then you've got these peer-to-peer lenders that advertise this ridiculously low rate, and by the time you get in, your rate is not low, but you're so desperate for the money that you're willing to pay anything. It's a loan shark. It's the same thing. This is why I warn you, before you go crazy with your credit card, make sure you can pay the bill. You should really hold that credit card for the emergency if you don't have enough cash to handle an emergency. So if you have to use something, you can use a credit card. But there's a ton of new lenders. Do you think these lenders are out here because they want to help you? These lenders are out here to make money. These peer-to-peer lenders, people are searching for yield wherever they can, so they go peer-to-peer and they get much higher rates. because the banks are still not providing liquidity. Even with the interest rates rising as rapidly as they are, we're not seeing the big dramatic flush of liquidity for the average borrower. And why would they? The banks own the credit cards, so they're getting the usury rates off their credit cards. I'm sure they're invested in some of these peer-to-peer lenders as well, so they're getting the money from there. Why would they want to loan it to me at 4 or 5%? Doesn't make sense. And I get it, but again, this is where you're getting forced into a problem that will never get away from you. We cannot be the government or the Fed that we can just print money whenever we want. Like, well, I'll go down in the basement. Let me go out the backyard and go to the money tree and yank off a few $100 bills. It doesn't happen like that. So you continue to see people getting preyed on from the predatory lenders. All right, and again, they're not usury rates, but they're right up against the upper limit. All right, so you've got record numbers of cars in default or upside down, record student loan debt, record personal debt, and the government's in record debt. Well, where are we going from here? Okay, so it becomes a major value problem, and of course now inflation is starting to tick up. So we already have less money, and now we're having inflation taking up, and everybody's so happy about the 2.9 rate of increase in wages. But think about it. You're making less money, most likely, than you were making in the year 2000. Even with, and again, I want it to get better, and I think it will get better, but we still have not created that overall job space here, okay? We haven't created the bring back the work to America, okay? And I know that's coming, but we need the real good jobs that pay and have good benefits. We cannot survive still on these service jobs. And it's nice that we're seeing a lot of bonuses given out. It's nice that the wealthy, which this is who the tax cut was for, but it's nice they're passing it down. That is the real objective. So I'm thrilled with that part of it as well. I think there's a lot of good things here that are coming out of it. But we still have to get those real jobs back in here, and that has to mean manufacturing jobs. That has to mean that we have to start building here. And what's really irritating is we have a big dissension about possible trade wars and tariffs. Now let me just ask you a question. Would you pay more if you knew that the money that you were paying more for was going directly back into the economy, not to the government, because if they run it, I want nothing to do with it, okay? But if it goes back into the economy, okay, and circulates and creates the velocity of money, would anybody mind paying a little bit more for gas, or would anybody mind paying a little more for everything else if you knew the money was going back in? Listen, if the government's going to go piss it away, I don't want anything to do with it, okay? But if it's going to actually go back into the system and create the velocity of money and create money flow, which create jobs and new jobs, I'm all for it. I mean, again, I'm tired of the days of fighting with these other nations. I've been involved in this manufacturing and involved in other plants and other businesses, and it's never good, okay? And President Trump is right. The American businesses do get screwed. And so which means the American people then get screwed. So again, I would love to pay more if I knew that it was going to go in the right direction. This continuing deficit that we continue to mount up every day has to stop. Now, again, I don't like what they've done with this new spending and adding another $1.5 trillion to it. So that's why I would, if I knew, in other words, if they would pay, if I could write a check right to the debt, okay, and reduce that debt, I don't think anybody would have a problem with that. But again, I doubt that the money that they're going to create is going to go anywhere but in their pockets. So I wouldn't want it under those circumstances. Now, again, you've got mortgage rates going higher, all right, which will create some more liquidity. But of course, the higher mortgage rates will bring down the cost of housing, because that's the unbalanced system we have right now, that we don't have the real true market of price discovery. But more importantly, we have the overall value, the trading of money, because of the Fed legalized Ponzi scheme. So that's issues. There's a lot of things that are going on, and we got a lot more to talk about. We got a busy show today, but we're going to step out here for a break. This is Bubba's Bottom Line, and I am Bubba, Todd Bubba Horwitz, and it's always great to spend some time with you. In the meantime, take a look at my highschoolinvesting.com. I believe that my teachings at that level, at that youth level, might be able to change the world. It won't change it for me, but it might be able to change the world going forward if we can get enough kids to educated about how the real financial system works and how to get rid of the criminals out of it. So it's highschoolinvesting.com, and if you'd like to help out and give us a hand, like so many of you have out there already, and that includes Wisconsin John and my securities attorney Rhonda from Texas, and my friends from Switzerland, and Melanie and Warner, and of course it includes my friend out from Trader Jeff out in Santa Rosa. So we've got a lot of people helping out, and of course if you want to help out, you go to patreon.com/Bubba Trading. That's patreon.com/Bubba Trading, and if you do go there, then you will also get 1 free week of my futures advisory service, because I want you to have it, and I want it to help you become better and a better trader as well. In the meantime, don't forget the Bubba Show every day from 4 to 5 Eastern Time at libertytalk.fm. And of course, we have the Sporting Edge on the weekends, as well as our new show, which is Crypto Investor X, which airs on the weekends as well. In the meantime, let's get back to the show. And of course, welcome back. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. And, we're talking about a whole bunch of things. And I think that there's a big talk right now about legalizing gambling for sports. And of course, the NBA wants a piece of it. The major sports want a piece of it, which is fine. But of course, they've lost their Looney Tune minds as well. They want a percentage. But if anybody understands how the gambling world works, the true bookmaker, okay, would be looking to hold, equal action on both sides, and they just want to take their 5%. Everybody thinks about what they call the 10% VIG, or the 10% juice that you pay. But the truth is that the bookmakers, they only want to hold 5%. Well, the states and the teams, they want 20%. They want 1% of the handle, which is 20% of the profits, which you can't work that way. Again, this is the same kind of stupid talk and ignorance when they used to want to tax traders that were on the floor like a nickel a contract. Well, it's only a nickel. Well, only a nickel. When you figure that you're only making 10 cents per contract at profit, a nickel's 50%. So we've got to get somebody in there. I think it's really a good idea. I think it would help a lot because there is a lot of betting going on anyways between the offshore and everywhere else. So why not legalize it? But legalize it where you're not trying to hold up these businesses, because they're going to be in business anyways. And the illegalities of it are going to be in business anyways. Remember, we're going to talk about this in my commentary, but the criminals are always ahead of everybody else. So they're not going to be stopped by legalizing it. And of course, you got to make sure that you make it reasonable enough so that everybody can make money, not just the government. It just doesn't make sense, right? Okay. So we saw last week Bitcoin had a little bit of a bounce back. And, I think that, again, I don't know if it's going to be Bitcoin, which according to my experts say it won't be, but there will be a number of these cryptocurrencies that are going to last, that are going to be part of it. And I think you're seeing it every day. This is the financial revolution going on. So I would not be surprised at all to continue. And I think that it does compete for dollars of gold. I think Bitcoin dollars and gold dollars are the same, pretty much the same investor. You might have the break from the older time investor who always bought gold to the millennials that are only know Bitcoin, but there is a big pocket in the middle that would go either way. I happen to be one of them. Now, again, I would buy them both and have an equal representation, knowing that, gold, I don't think is ever going bust. Bitcoin still has a chance to go bust. Okay. Now, again, the crypto itself is not going bust, but one of them could go bust. So I'd be, more diversified in the cryptocurrencies and own, let's say, 10 of them to the same amount of dollars I own in gold. So if I had 10,000 in gold, I might have 1,010 different cryptocurrencies. But again, I think that they're going to be around. I think they're real. I think it's something that you should understand. And if you don't know right now, you should try to do a little bit of research on it. Okay. Now, we all think that the stock market is potentially out of the woods. I don't think so. I do believe, as I said at the opening, I think Darth Vader is coming back. I think this was a natural bounce that we would have expected. And I'm not surprised at all by the bounce, and I won't be surprised at all if the market collapses. I believe that the next correction, again, it's not going to be in one day, Okay, it's not going to be over the next month or so. But I believe the next overall correction will be a haircut to the market of about 30 to 40%. That doesn't mean that it's going to start today, and it doesn't mean it's going to go straight down. Again, remember, even in 2008, the markets did not go straight down. The markets went up and down. But when you see these vicious rip-your-face-off rallies, that indicates that A, the top is in, and B, that the markets are still meant to be sold. And until that changes, we will continue to look for opportunities to sell the overall general equities. It does not mean we won't buy some individual equity stocks. All right. Now, you know, when you look at some of the other things that are going on, okay, you've got, you know, the Philly Fed with another one of their ridiculous, I don't know. You know, I listen to these reports, and I think anytime you listen to a report that hits the street, I think you have to take it with a grain of salt. Because half the time, if it's a government report, they're always revised up or down at a later date. So really, what are you getting? And if it's a private report, then what is the accuracy? You know, I compare a lot of these reports to China. You know, getting information out of China is almost impossible. And I think that when you look at it, you go, well, is it real or is it Memorex? And this is where it goes back to, you always have to understand the market and the market system, because the market knows all right? The market is a potential because it's following the money. The money will tell you what the insiders know. You don't think they can hide that, right? The tape or the money will always tell you where things are going, all right? And I think that, you know, we have to look at the overall picture to make sure that we understand where the money's going. Because if they're telling you that everything is great, 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 but money's coming out, what does that mean? And I think that's what we're going to see here, is that rally, which we've got, but it's going to fail before the last high, which would then indicate markets going lower. I think that what you're looking now at in the grain markets, grains look really solid. As we've said all along, I mean, we've been, I think for the last 12 or 14 weeks, we've been saying you want to be a buyer of grains. And of course, they had a beautiful week, and they're now up against, pushing against near-term highs. I would expect to see a little bit of a pullback, but I would see them going higher. All right, again, if you give me one, I can only do one trade, I'd buy them. But I do believe that I get two trades, and I believe they'll sell out first, and I'll be buying more. All right, I'm already in, I own them, and I look to buy more. I think the meats are getting a little bit pricey when you talk about cattle. I think that's a little bit over, as they say, since it's the Olympic time, it's over their skis. And I think they're both going to sell off. Fats and feeders, I think, have to come down a little bit before I would then be a buyer. But I am looking to be a buyer, but just about 5 to 6% lower than where they are right now. Hogs, I think, are a buy right now. I think they look great. Gold, oil, and treasury bonds, I think, are all sells. Okay, now bonds should have a bounce. They tried to bounce a couple times last week, but interest rates are going to rise. And this is one of the big problems that we've talked about a couple of times, but this is where the black swan event comes in my opinion, is the Fed and the central banks around the world are trying to control the dollar. All right, and they've been stepping on it, if you've noticed. Now, the dollar ran up, and last Monday on my call, I said that was a great spot for the dollar to take a little profit from. I wasn't going to be a seller there, but I wouldn't be surprised if it sold off a little bit. And boom, like a clock, it sold off. And of course, that's fine. Now it's coming back down to support. And of course, like everything else, the Fed has never been right on their exit of any plan. Okay. And again, that's not my dislike for them because I don't like them, but that's a fact. Okay. They've never exited properly. You've got the globally now, you've got the other central banks. Because why? Because interest rates at these levels, you know, if you're in the Eurozone and you're using euros to borrow, you're basically getting a 25% discount. So the rate has not really affected you yet. But if the dollar goes back up, all of a sudden the rates become effect. And of course, I believe that this week, most likely, or the next week, you will see the 10-year go over 3%. I think that will then take a lot of money out of the markets, okay? Because there's a lot of people that would rather have 3% guaranteed than be overextended to the market. So there's a whole bunch of reasons to believe that this is going to see some more Darth Vader, some more selling. And of course, this also is going to show you how the Fed is going to become, in my opinion, the black swan when it's all said and done. You know, we keep waiting for a geopolitical event. We keep waiting for something else. Nobody talks about it could be the Fed because they don't have any clue on how a market works or how a business works. Okay, they might know what their economic theory is, but they know nothing about actual free markets and price discovery. Again, they prove it each and every time they get involved. It doesn't make sense. They do not have a clue, and they continue to chase their tail like my dog. Okay, they keep going round and round and round and hope they can catch that tail, but they can't. In the meantime, this is Bubba's Bottom Line. I'm going to step out here for a break and come back with my commentary. Make sure you go to highschoolinvesting.com and check out what we're doing. We're really trying to get this to go after 7 years. We're trying to push it forward. And of course, I've got another big bill due for the website. So if you want to help me out, go to patreon.com/Bubba Trading. And of course, don't forget to get to the Bubba Show every single day from 4 to 5 Eastern at LibertyTalk.fm. And check out our other shows, which is the Sporting Edge, which is on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. And of course, Crypto Investor X, a brand new show I do with Matt Demeter. Make sure you check it out. And now let's get back to my commentary. And this commentary might irk a few people. I just give you a little bit ahead of warning, but I want to talk about guns. And I want to talk about, unfortunately, the sadness of the Parkland shooting in Florida. I think it was obviously a major tragedy, and I'm not happy. But I think that one of my issues here, and it's a Second Amendment right, okay, the right to bear arms, but not my concern about that part of it. And I hate when we make it into such a political issue. All right, I don't own a gun. I might have shot a gun 2 or 3 times, shotgun it for skeet shooting, and a rifle at a target range once. And I'm not going to ever own a gun myself. But one thing I know, or at least in my opinion, is that if you take the guns out of the hands, hands that had them legally, okay, because you want to set some new laws, because every time something gets shot, you want to create something and create a mess, the criminals are always going to get the guns. I mean, when did we all of a sudden believe that the other element, the criminal element of the world is not going to be able to get that AK-47 or automatic, whatever, and again, I only know the names I hear on TV, okay, the automatic weapons, whatever. When did we think that the drug lords and everybody else are not going to have those guns? And I have the perfect example, which is where I live. I live in Chicago, which is the toughest gun laws in the United States. What do we have here? We have the highest murder rate. Why? Because the criminals are always ahead of the law. That's why. Not because guns don't kill people. People kill people. Okay, this has gone on for the ages, and has not the illegal crew always been ahead? You can go back into the gangsters of the Al Capone era. They were always ahead of everybody. The cops had a pistol, the gangsters had a machine gun. So again, it should not be an issue on our Second Amendment rights. It should be an issue on how we defend and how we take care of getting rid of the guns that are in the people that shouldn't have them. Okay? So, not to mention that the FBI had some intel on this guy before he pulled the trigger. So, again, the criminals, the people that want to do harm and want to be bad are going to get what they need, okay? This is the point that I'm trying to make, okay? It should not be a battle against guns. It should be a battle against the criminal element and how to get taken through them, and not worry about overall what the gun laws are, because the gun laws, if you're a law-abiding citizen, you're going to go through the proper protocol to get the gun the right way. And I have no problem with that. Listen, I know people that carry. I personally, I think I'd shoot myself by accident. I want nothing to do with it. But I understand it, and I don't see any problem with our Second Amendment rights, as long as everybody goes through the legal channels to get what they need to get. Because what I do know is that the people that are coming to rob my house, they didn't get that gun legally. The people that are sticking me up in the street, they didn't get that gun legally. And the people that do these horrific events may have got the gun legally, but it doesn't matter. They have a criminal element to them. And there's many warning signs before it ever showed up. So I think that to waste the time of everybody to start, always going back to, well, we need to stop guns. We need to stop guns. Yeah, we need to stop guns so that the criminals can really take over the world, because they're going to get the guns anyways. So I think that is something that is an issue And again, this is part of the hatred that the left has for President Trump, is that they keep wanting to try and do things to disrupt. The real fact is that we need to straighten up and fly right and have our FBI do the right job and get things done properly and follow up on these real legitimate leads and not worry about the Second Amendment. That's really how I see it and how I feel about it. I'm sure this is a little bit controversial, but again, I'm not advocating to have guns get easier. I'm just saying that if it's done legally and you've got it, I think that you should have your rights, which we are awarded by the Constitution. And I believe that at the end of the day, that no matter what you do, if you ban guns everywhere, the criminals are going to get them anyways. And that's always my concern, because I want somebody who's going to defend me to have a gun, not the criminal who's coming out to get me. Anyways, everybody have a great week. Have a great day off if you have it on President's Day. This has been Bubba's Bottom Line, and we'll see you back here next week. Take care, everybody. Have a great week and good trading. We'll see you later.